Good evening. Welcome to 4 FSU Weather. I'm student meteorologist Dan McFarland.
And I'm Casey Cloud. Thanks so much for joining us here. A really nice Friday evening across the area. Just great conditions, low humidities, and cooler temperatures, at least a little bit. I mean, we're still seeing pretty warm conditions, but we're going to be expecting in the next week cooler temperatures across our region as we will have a cool front go through, potentially providing us with some severe weather, which we'll talk about in the next segment in just a little bit.
That's right. We're going to talk about those cold fronts just a little bit later, but I noticed today it was feeling a little bit warm outside, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Warmer than average temperature across the region for this evening and into the next few days at least, but then again a bit of a cool down on the way. Still low humidity though, making it pretty nice.
Yeah, that is going to be really nice because there's even one day next week we're going to get below 80 as a high, if you can believe that. So that's absolutely crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Conditions get from going from above average to pretty much below average for this time of year across the region. Also, there's some good high school football games going on across the area. We do have a couple games that are going on of note. The Taylor County Bulldogs are traveling to the Jefferson County Tigers tonight, and also the Bradford County Tornadoes, my alma mater, they're playing at tonight in the Wakulla County and the War Eagles. To be really nice conditions there. Just great football weather, low humidities, and temperatures by the end of the game going down into the 60s.
That sounds like a lot of fun, but for right now we're going to take it out to Shane for the overview.
Thanks, guys. And the overview really is pretty simple. We saw no active weather today. This is an overview of the satellite and radar from the whole day today, and barely any clouds and certainly no traces of rain, save for some spotty showers to the west of our viewing area. Looking at the bigger picture, though, we can see that the majority of the southeast, most of our neighbors to the north, Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi, saw a lot of the same today, at least in their southern regions. The northern regions of those states have actually been experiencing some more severe weather, which we'll be covering later in the show tonight. As for a glimpse ahead at what we're going to see over the show tonight, well, we're giving you a beautiful weekend with a splash of summer this weekend, some very warm temperatures, and rain returning next week. But for tonight, exactly how low will it go for this temperature? Stay tuned to find out, but we're looking at mostly clear skies with a good chance of fog that we'll be describing in more detail later. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Shane. Now let's go ahead and talk about some of the severe weather threat that we're potentially seeing and toward our forecast for next week.
That's right. Well, for right now, we're seeing two cold fronts right now. One from the remnants of an old storm, another one that's laying right across the Midwest that's caused them a little bit of problems. If you believe it, there's freeze warnings all across Iowa and Michigan right now, too.
Absolutely. Also, frost advisories. We're talking about Nebraska and Wisconsin. It's very cool temperatures for those areas, and the hazardous weather for this severe threat is coming from Colorado to Michigan, and that is because of the second front in that area.
That's right. And the first front that, like I said, was passing through there, they have severe thunderstorm warnings from Texas over to Tennessee. So, I mean, that one's not going to reach us. It's going to be the second one that's going to come to our area, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll watch that threat very closely here for you in the FSU Weather Center. But right now, Daniel will have more on the weather situation locally.
That's right. Right now, we're seeing 89 in Tallahassee, which is very, very high for this time of year. And also, you see that dew point is right around 59, so it's not too humid out right now. As you can see, humidity is sitting right around 37 there with partly cloudy skies. Our current temperatures, we have, like I said, 89 here, 95 in Quincy up there. It's a big difference for being that close. 88 in Monticello, and as you get a little closer to the coast, Carabelle's seeing 82. So all on the coastal regions, they're seeing lower 80s, except for St. Mark's, which is right now reading 87 degrees there. Satellite and radar, not too much going on here at all. You see we are all clear here. So we're going to go ahead and just jump right into what's going to happen over the weekend. We're going to have some fog tomorrow morning. You see, so that'll be in Tallahassee, over into Jacksonville, probably over to Pensacola also. We're going to go and look on, as we get further through the day, it's going to get a lot warmer. Up to 92 is our high for tomorrow, if you believe that. That's absolutely crazy for this time of year. And here's the front that's going to be coming through next week, but by Sunday night, it should be right over Mississippi right there. So the cold front will be approaching at that time. And for our beach forecast tomorrow, we have surf less than a foot, so not too much in the surf department, but variable winds less than 5 knots. So it's really nice to just go out there and just hang out at the beach. So this will be one of your last days before we get too cold for winter. The front's going to come through. The water's going to get a little colder. It won't be as fun. So if you want to get out on the beach or the boat, you're probably going to have to go out pretty soon. Like here's for the boating forecast, about the same. Lots of sunshine there, and the waters are calm out there. So again, this is also one of your last chances for boating. And make sure that you get out there a little bit early, because the sunrise is still early for now. And for tonight's forecast, it's not a mystery anymore. We now know it's going to get down to 62. It's going to be foggy from early in the hours. You see 2 to 9 a.m. That's really early for fog to start. And we're going to see that because, but besides that, it should be mostly clear there. And for tomorrow, we got temperatures around 92, like we've been saying. Lots of sunshine, warm afternoon, calmer winds just around 5 miles an hour. So that's really not too bad. And we're going to go ahead and look at our week ahead for our forecast. Like I said, the weekend, 92 there and only 90 in Sunday. It's not too big of a difference. We'll see more clouds at that point. And then as we get into Monday and Tuesday, that's when our front's going to start coming through. And look at those temperatures just drop off as we get into the middle of the week. You see that we have that 80% chance of showers on Tuesday. And you see the day after on Wednesday with that only 20% chance of rain, the high is going to be 79. That's real crazy. And you see then Thursday and Friday, it's going to be 80 and 83 there. And for right now, we're going to go ahead and send it off to Matthew with the look at the southeast.
All right, it's really just a scorcher out there, really not feeling like fall at all, which we may think that this is the final weekend for us to really be feeling those hot, hot, hot temperatures. Current conditions across our region. See all this red here? Yeah, red means hot, and we don't like it at all. Definitely lots of sweating going on all across the peninsula of Florida, in the southeast, even in the tri-state area. We have a lot of those high 80s, low 90s. The heat index is looking even hotter. Taking a look here, it's 90 in Orlando, 89 in Tallahassee, which matches our current temperature, but 92 in Montgomery, Little Rock 88. Shreveport is the warm spot with 96, and that's what it feels like outside. And I'm sure you guys can attest to this. It's really not feeling like fall out there, but we'll be changing in a few days. Dew point, this is that, ick factor outside, the stickiness feel. We're not too bad right now. It's a bit of a dry heat out there, so we're not really feeling those muggy conditions that some of us down in South Florida really come to know and sometimes love, but in my case, not love at all. Water vapor is really just telling us the same story here. We have really clear conditions. This orange over here indicates that dry air over in the Texas area, and really no green or anything over the peninsula, but we can start to see it creep in up here associated with a cold front that's not going to get to our area, but later on we could see a cold front push in. Satellite and radar really just looking much of the same, all that really nasty weather to the north of us near the Great Lakes region. But down here we're looking perfect, we're looking clear. Current winds, really nothing to talk about here in Tallahassee. Across the peninsula though, we really see that sea breeze dominating from the Atlantic side. And even in Key West, we see 17. So that Atlantic sea breeze is dominating in the peninsula, but for us, we're just looking clear and calm. Futurecast looks like this temperature-wise. Really, the heat is here to stay. Tonight, it's going to be comfortable, reaching down into the low 60s. So it'll be a comfortable night. Not too much to read about, maybe not a jacket needed, but it will be comfortable nonetheless. 88 is going to be our high tomorrow, and going into Saturday and into Sunday. Once again, we start to see that cool air creep in, which we'll be getting to later on in the show. But tonight's forecast looks like this: 62 down here across the region, really about the same, not much variation at all. But just going to be a beautiful beach weather weekend. I would suggest getting out there, especially tomorrow, with 92 degrees in Tallahassee. So that's what it's looking like around here. Let's send it back over to Daniel and Casey at the desk.
Thanks a lot, Matt. Well, it hasn't been an overactive hurricane season in the Atlantic, but in the Pacific, they've had quite a good bit. They'll get into the ones in Asia in a little bit. Right now, we're going to look at the remnants of Hurricane Simon, which was a Category 4 at one point in the Pacific.
That's right, and this has really marked one of the busiest seasons in a very long time in the Eastern Pacific. In fact, we're talking about a season with 8 storms of at least major hurricane status and 6 that had at least Category 4 status.
We know a lot of those started off just off the Baja Peninsula, came up, kind of died off before they got on coast. Like Simon, we know it came up, before it hit California, it wasn't even a tropical depression anymore. It was just a mess of storms, wasn't it?
Yeah, providing some rain relief in that area. Again, not too big of a factor there. Just wanted to pass along real quick that there's a tornado warning in North Georgia for another few minutes for areas like Tunnel Hill, pretty rural area there, but if you have family in that area, keep them advised, give them the latest information. But right now, we'll go ahead and take it over to the national weather situation with Christina.
Thanks, guys. Yes, across the United States, at least in the southeast, we're seeing the scorching temperatures, but to our north and a little bit to our west, we're not seeing those hot temperatures. If you look at Memphis, they're sitting at 82 degrees, and you move on up to Kansas City, they're at 53 degrees. Now we can see this huge change in temperature because of a stationary cold front that is actually bringing lots of moisture to the middle sections of the country, and we'll be able to look at that on the water vapor map. Actually, you can see the moisture just moving across the United States to the east, and it's just dumping rain on those areas. But here in Tallahassee and to the south, we are seeing those drier conditions as the moisture just is striking the middle of the country. Now, with the satellite and radar, we can put a better picture to these storms that are taking place across parts of Missouri, even into parts of Arkansas, Kansas, and just moved out of Oklahoma. So just the middle section of the country just being dominated by that rain. And if we take a look at the warnings and watches, we actually have a tornado warning for Catoosa County, Walker County, Whitfield County, and those are all until 6:15 p.m. So just a couple more minutes actually for the warnings, and that is through the National Weather Service in Peachtree City. So those are parts of Georgia that are actually having those warnings. And if we take a look at where those storms are in the middle of the country, we see flash flooding warnings all across parts of Arkansas, northern Arkansas, and southern parts of Mississippi. We've got thunderstorm warnings and watches across parts of Texas and Oklahoma, and even down into central Texas we see those watches. Now to the north, we are seeing the freeze advisories and the frost warnings. So they're getting the colder situation up there, but the big story for right now are those thunderstorm warnings and of course the tornado warnings in Georgia. So just some really severe weather going on for the country right now. We zoom in, we can see these storms just trekking their way across parts of Tennessee, Kentucky, and even Virginia. And if we move a little to our west, we see the stronger parts of this system moving through parts of Kansas. We've got this huge cell that's going through there and into Missouri, and we see parts of Arkansas with very severe weather going on. So just if you have family out there, make sure that they're doing okay. As far as airport delays, we aren't seeing any delays for the entire country. And if we take a look at the futurecast, we will be seeing that moisture just move on through, move to the east, and just really kind of disappear and dissipate as that the cold front is actually stationary. Now we see the same sort of picture for tonight's forecast, the huge difference in temperature because of that stationary cold front, and tomorrow it's the same sort of story, just the huge temperature change across parts of Tennessee and southern Arkansas, just bringing those drastic temperature changes. Now, John, tell us about what's going on in Tallahassee.
Just like you saw across the maps that Christina showed you, temperatures have been warm all across the south this afternoon, and temperatures are getting closer to record levels. 90 degrees is what we reached this afternoon, and as we get closer to Sunday, those temperatures are going to be boosting up. In a couple of spots around the area, could see record temperatures in the low to mid 90s in a couple of spots, but that doesn't mean we get the cool temperatures. We don't get the cool temperatures in the morning. Temperatures in the morning are still going to be on the cool side, and that's going to allow us to get a little bit of fog. Right now, outside your door, 89 degrees here in Tallahassee. Temperatures are quite nice across most of the area. It's going to be a great weekend to head out a little bit warm. I'm not sure that this sensor is correct there in Quincy. It's been running warm all week, but temperatures around most of the area in the upper 80s to low 90s. Satellite is clear right now, not even a cloud in the sky across most of the area. Maybe a pop-up shower down towards Apalachicola, but it's going to be a great weekend to head down towards St. George Island or towards one of the numerous festivals across the town tonight. If you're going to head down towards the beach, nothing really to worry about. Water temperature is still warm enough to enjoy the water there at 86 degrees. Not really anything to fly a kite. The winds really aren't going to be there for that activity though. 62 degrees as we head into tonight's forecast. South-southwest at 5 miles per hour. because of those light winds, the clear conditions outside, and the cooler temperatures, we could have just a little bit of fog, but I think most of that is going to be east of the metro area, over closer to the Swanee River Valley. Moving over through the next couple of days, again, we're going to start out with a little bit of patchy fog tomorrow morning with some clearer conditions, and heading into the afternoon hours, it's going to warm right up. Plenty of sunshine across the area. That storm system that we've been talking about is well off towards the northwest, and it'll stick there for the next couple of days. Plenty of warmth across the area, and then this cool front gets a little bit closer, but not really pushing in until early parts of next week. And this system could bring in some disturbed weather as we head into late Monday into early Tuesday, but really sunshine is the key for the next couple of days. And that's going to be the key all the way until Tuesday, probably Tuesday morning. Tomorrow's forecast, we're looking like 92 degrees with a warm afternoon, east winds at 5 miles per hour. And game forecast, if you're watching outside, it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be a little bit cool in the morning, but really rebounding back up into the 90s. And then that rain returns as we head into the early parts of next week. And we're going to talk about Super Typhoon Vangfang at the desk now. There's plenty of information coming out of the West Pacific.
That's right. Vangfang is one of the most powerful storms we've seen in a long time. That's for sure. It's really something scary to look at.
It's the most powerful storm that we have seen for the year, and it's second to really only Haiyan last year that hit this part of the nation. And we saw winds up to 180 miles per hour above a Cat 5 hurricane. And if you look at this picture, you can see that well-defined eye, and it's just, it's a scary storm.
Absolutely. It is really scary. It's really something that we don't see very often here on even this entire planet. Our satellite images like this, really it impacts millions of people in parts of Okinawa first and onto Japan later on.
Fortunately, the storm has been downgraded to a Category 3 hurricane as of about an hour ago. So the winds are reaching a maximum of, or sorry, not a maximum, gusts are higher, but sustained winds are at 126 miles per hour rather than the 180 that we saw earlier this week. So definitely a good thing that that is dying down. Now for more information about the tropics, we're going to send it out to the wall with John.
Thanks so much, guys. Let's take a look around Florida, in fact. And we do see that as we take a look at our FSU Weather STEM camera, looking across campus just a little while ago, really nice conditions, just a great sunny day across the Big Bend region, southwest Georgia as well. Low humidity, a little above average temperatures, but still a nice day across our area. Now, satellite and radar does show that there's not too much precipitation occurring. Do have a little bit of cloud near the top of your screen. Outside of the state of Florida, upwards, areas in northern Alabama, northern Georgia as well. Even have that tornado warning we referenced earlier that has just expired in North Georgia, but around the central and southeast Florida, we do have a few isolated showers trying to form, but again, not too much of a factor in toward those areas. So some good news. It's really nice conditions here. Water vapor tells a story, not too many greens, which would indicate moisture in the upper levels of the atmosphere. So again, great news. Not much rain expected here across our Big Bend region here for your weekend. Great conditions if you're going outside on your Saturday and Sunday. Temperatures right now 89 degrees here in the metro area. Going down a little further south, Tampa 89 as well. Down toward Fort Myers 89 as well. A lot of 89s here across our state. A little cooler though, areas like West Palm Beach 84 degrees and Jacksonville 85 degrees there. Now current heat indexes tell the story. It feels toward your skin just how warm it is. We do see that they're only a little on the high side, over 90 that is, around Fort Myers 94 degrees, that heat index 92 toward Tampa. But pretty much nice conditions, just on the warm side. Make sure you exercise caution if you're out in the heat a little too long, but again, relatively nice conditions. And the wind does provide relief with the above average temperatures, seeing a little gust conditions in toward Orlando at 12 miles an hour, Key West 17 miles an hour. Same with West Palm Beach, but around our area, not getting too much of that relief, but with no wind gust at this hour. But again, pretty nice conditions overall here across our area and across the state. We do have a little bit of false returns on the radar here. We might have a little shower developing just to the northwest Apalachicola, but again, all this green false returns, again, just nice conditions here across the state. Maybe a few showers just east of Vero Beach, but not too big of a factor. Again, a few soured. Also trying to kind of get their act together in Central and South Florida, but again, not too much going on here in the situation. Really nice conditions. Now, kind of brightening the view just a little bit. We do see temperatures tonight, 65 here in toward Jacksonville. Here a little cooler though, 62 degrees. Nice conditions tomorrow. Great weather, great outdoors to 89 Jacksonville and 92 in the ward areas around Tallahassee. But right now, we'll go ahead and take a look at your tropical forecast with Jonathan.
If you forgot about hurricane season, it's come back to life, and there's actually 4 systems we're going to talk about tonight, and there's a lot going on in the Atlantic, 3 out of those 4 being in the Atlantic. We actually named our latest tropical storm, you might remember this name from a couple years ago. This tropical storm, Faye, crossed Florida a record 8 times, I believe, making landfall 8 times as it crossed over the state, but this time around it's way out in the Atlantic. Not going to impact the United States. Here's that tropical system. You can see that wrapping up here. This is Tropical Storm Faye. You can actually see Bermuda just off towards the north, and we'll get to that impacts in Bermuda in just a couple of minutes. But there's a second system down towards the south, well east of the Caribbean islands, down towards the south, well east of the Leeward Islands, and this is actually becoming a little bit of a system of its own. Has a small chance of development over the next few days, and could bring some late impacts to the northern Leeward Islands as we head into the middle of next week. Now going back to Faye, here's subtropical storm Faye, and this is the system here. It's kind of wrapping around, kind of a little bit of exposed, so they've not quite gone all the way to tropical status. But what is interesting with this system is it's going to move off towards the north and could bring in some rainy conditions and some windy conditions to the island of Bermuda over the next couple of days. Here's the information on Faye right now, just making 40 miles an hour with a pressure of 1,002 millibars well to the east of Tallahassee. No impacts to the United States this go around with Faye. It is going to continue to push off towards the north. Unfortunately, getting a little bit too close to Bermuda over the next couple of days, bringing winds up to 45, maybe 50 miles an hour. Bermuda just being on the edge of our cone here, but the idea here is that those winds are a little bit farther removed from the center of circulation here, so we could see some 40 to possibly 50 miles an hour winds on the island of Bermuda with a couple of inches of rain as the system pushes off and moves by just off to the east of the island of Bermuda. Now bring it back home, clear conditions, again, no impacts from Faye right now. And that's the way it's going to stay over the next couple of days. But the winds are coming out of the south and out of the southeast, so it's going to bring in some heat and that humidity that Casey talked about just a little bit ago. 62 degrees is our low temperature for tonight, and then tomorrow we're going to head up into the 80s. But I have to foreshadow this. We've had a couple of systems move across the Pacific. This is the southern coast of Japan here. This is Bangfeng that they talked about a little while ago at the desk. And this system, and just like its predecessor, Fanfone, which also grazed by the Japanese islands here, this system is also going to cross the Pacific and could bring in some potential impacts for the United States. Now that's going to be 5 to 10 days out from now, but it's something to watch. Just cool weather fact there. Some of these weather patterns do come from the Pacific. Now there's more weather information at the desk. How is it going out there, Christina and Matt?
Well, I'm personally glad about subtropical storm Faye not being projected to hit Florida. I have had a horrible experience with the tropical storm Faye that actually moved through a couple years ago, canceling school when it didn't need to be and everything like that. So I'm personally grateful that even though we do have an active tropical system, it's not projected to hit Florida.
Yeah, the last time a Faye hit Florida, it caused a lot of flooding damage all across the state, which was definitely an issue.
Mm-hmm. Well, now we're going to transition into actually what's going on in Indonesia, where they actually had a volcano eruption that started on Sunday, and it has forced hundreds of people to have to flee their homes.
Yep, it sent an ash cloud up to 17,000 feet, which, as we know from last year, can cause a lot of headaches with air travel and health conditions as well.
Right, there are people walking around with those masks around on their face so that they don't inhale the ash that's coming from the volcano. So this is something that is going to pose long-term effects for the people in Indonesia. And this volcano has been dormant for 400 years.
Mm-hmm. So very interesting, but now we're going to send it back out to Casey at the wall.
Thanks so much, guys. Let's go ahead and take a look at those current conditions here in the area. Really nice weather, the big story. 89 degrees here in the metro area. That dew point 59 degrees. Humidity again low, meaning nice conditions at only 37% across the area and at the Tallahassee Regional Airport. Now, we see temperatures toward the north and west of the Tallahassee area a little bit warmer. 93 degrees in Quincy, 91 degrees in Bainbridge. But as we get towards some of our coastal areas, cooler weather temperatures influencing those temperatures, making them to be a little bit cooler. We're sitting at 82 degrees in Carabel right now and 85 toward Apalachicola. Now, kind of brightening the view in terms of that satellite imagery, we do see not too much cloud cover across the area. Really, it's a clear, nice day across our Big Bend region, really telling the story by not having too many clouds around. Now, your futurecast does show that we will be seeing some foggy conditions as we get into later tonight, though, and that could be a factor. If you're getting the morning paper, you might just keep an eye on that very closely, and if you need to go into town, we'll monitor that closely. It looks like the western third and the eastern third of our viewing area will be the areas most impacted by the fog, so just drive safely and use caution if you're in those areas. Now, getting later into Saturday, it will really usher in a nice day across the area. We will be a little on the warm side, though. We'll keep an eye potentially, maybe even approaching some record high temperatures in some of our locations. But again, nice conditions relatively here across the Big Bend region here on Saturday. But Sunday, we're going to be starting to turn our attention to a cool front approaching the area. Low pressure as well, and we'll watch this closely in terms of a cooler weather situation. It will bring in nicer conditions, cooler temperatures, but unfortunately it looks like we could see a threat for some severe weather late Monday night into early Tuesday. We're still trying to pin down the details on that, though, so keep it tuned to FSU Weather. The Monday show, of course, will have more information identifying what specific threats will have an impact into your forecast from that front. Now, getting into later on to Saturday, we'll be seeing nice conditions at the beach. It's a great beach day. That UV index is a 7 in the high range, so make sure you bring your sunscreen. Tonight's forecast, 62 degrees. It will be mostly clear. Again, use caution with that fog, and we will see a summer-like Saturday. That's our big story. 65 degrees. We'll see a foggy sunrise in the morning. Use caution with that. Plenty of sunshine later on, though. Warming up, will be a warm afternoon. But right now, we'll go ahead and take it back over to the desk with Christina and Matthew.
Thank you, Casey. It's good to know that summer is still here for one more weekend at least, so we can get to the beach one last time.
Some warm weather. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to get to the beach. I'm going to be working all weekend. How about you, Matthew?
That's awful. I'm actually going out flying with the Seminole Flying Club this weekend. We're heading up to Thomasville.
Very
cool. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And the weather's going to be perfect for it as well.
Clear skies. It's going to be a beautiful day for flying. Now, if you are free tomorrow, there is a pumpkin festival happening in Havana, Florida. Something to check out. They've got all-you-can-eat pancakes starting at 8 o'clock in the morning. With lots of fun activities for the kids and for teenagers and adults, all sorts of fun stuff.
I do like pancakes, but something I like even better is that 7-day forecast. We've got a beautiful weekend setting up for us here in Tallahassee, but then the rain starts to creep back in Monday and Tuesday of next week.
Now, if you like what you've seen tonight, make sure to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/FSU Weather. Follow us on Twitter, or watch us live on livestream.com at any time. And make sure that you have a great weekend. Maybe go out to that pumpkin festival in Havana, get some candy for the kids, or dress up in a Halloween costume. Now, I'm student meteorologist Christina Sherwin.
And I'm student meteorologist Matthew Reagan.
Enjoy your night.